Hello and welcome to Noted.
Welcome.
Today we are talking about something controversial.
Yeah, I feel like whenever people talk about money, it's like, oh my gosh, you're talking about money?
And we're talking about money. We are talking about it not only in the influencer space, which I think a lot of people are really curious about, but we're talking about it in the music industry, which because people have no idea.
They don't. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna tell you in our experience how much things have cost, how much we've gotten paid for things, and we're gonna keep it open and keep it honest this episode.
Yeah, we have been in some positions that quite frankly are insane.
Yeah. With money. Yeah. People are always like, oh, influencers and musicians and, you know, you've had this and you've had that. You must be making like millions of dollars and all this stuff. And listen, there is a great way to make a great living in this career, but it is the most inconsistent, unpredictable, insane career that you could ever have. So we're going to dive in. So do you want to start with the music industry side? Yeah, let's start music.
And then we'll work our way to influencer.
I think that's good because that was our journey.
That was our journey. Well, actually, it kind of wasn't. Like, if we're being real, since our label was really unique in the way that we were influencers and so much of our music career was funded by our brand deals.
We had a 360 deal is what our label technically signed us to. So it was music, it was influencing, it was management, and it was a label. Like it was like
and digital, I guess if you want to be technical.
Like our YouTube channel. Yeah. And that was interesting in the sense that from the beginning when we signed that label, we were paid a monthly like allowance. Which that was not, based on what I've heard throughout the years, that was not the normal.
Did we get like a signing bonus?
I think we did. I can't remember. I want to say we did.
I think we did. I don't think it was a lot of money.
It might have just been to move, honestly.
Yeah.
To Nashville.
Yeah, our personal music industry experience was not par for the course.
No.
But if
we had a lot more to offer at that point in time than
so true.
A new artist, and I feel like that whole generation wasn't even really a thing yet. The having a fan base and a YouTube channel and already having a solid amount of brand deals like under our belt, walking into a label, that was not the norm.
Yeah.
And neither was our deal.
But if we're gonna talk about the music industry, like let's just say in general, let's say what most people get.
Okay.
What happens for most artists when you sign a record deal is you get signed and you get paid in advance. So, and that can range anywhere from, I mean, if you're a new artist and you've got nothing to your name and all of that, you'll get what, 10K?
I would say anywhere from like 10 to 50.
If you're signing to like a UMG or like a Republic, or is UMG and Republic the same thing? No. UMG, Republic, or Sony, or Warner, or any of those, like you're getting 10 to 50K, I would say. But if sometimes these people get into battles with these labels and you're getting fought over, which is insane, you can get like $1 million advance.
Yes, but the key word here is advance. So a lot of those, the people that are getting battled out, you know, I'm sure they didn't have to pay back their advances. But if you're like a new artist who's like, oh my gosh, I just got $25,000 in my bank account, I made it. It's like, nope, slow your roll, because every single song you put out, music video, any sort of royalty goes back to paying that advance. So you will not see another dime until that advance is paid back.
Yeah, so it's recouped.
Yeah. There's the term for you.
And that's crazy because like sometimes the label doesn't put their power into you and you just get shelved. Yeah. So you will literally be sitting there and you will be broke. Like $25,000 you can burn through quickly.
Yeah.
If that's like your only job, like say you get signed, like what you were just saying, like, oh, I just got signed and I made it. I'm signed to Warner and I got $25,000. But then if you're not putting out music, then you're not working towards making that back. And guess who holds all the power for that?
Your label. Who gave you that money?
The label.
Yes. And I vividly remember, an artist telling us that when she was signed, her label kind of sat on her for a while. And she was working a server job, and she was literally taking toilet paper from the bathroom because she could not afford toilet paper because it had been so long since she signed her deal. And she like wasn't able to make money because she wasn't able to put music out.
Yeah. And then you're also, you're not allowed, when you get locked into these contracts and you take the $25K, like, you're not allowed to put out music at all.
No.
You might not even be allowed to write with people sometimes, depending on what the terms of your contract are. Like, you're not allowed to write with other people. You're not allowed to put music out on your own. You're not allowed to play shows. You're not allowed to do any sort of brand deals if you have that.
Nor do you want to write because the label owns it right away anyway. So you're like, what's the point? Like, this song will never see the light of day because my label owns this song because I wrote it because they own me.
Yes. So that's kind of like, that's the case I feel like we saw the most.
Yes.
With major labels. Was just these people getting signed, getting their quick money, and feeling like top of the world for a while, and then the label's just sitting on them.
Which is why so many artists, when you see them getting dropped, you're like, oh, I feel so bad for them. It's like, no, these artists now are free. They're free. They can write. They can put out music.
They can make money.
They can make money.
But let's say like on the other side of that, when the label is working for you, what is the label actually paying for? And how much does that cost?
So this is where if a label is treating you right and
they care about you, you're the lucky one that they've chosen to care about you.
This is where having a label is the dream because the label pays for your music. They pay to produce the music. They pay for your producer, the studio time, all that stuff. They pay for your music videos.
They pay for the stylists. They pay for your publicist.
Your hair and makeup.
Hair and makeup. They pay for your bus if you have one, or van. They pay for all of your band members.
Your hotels.
Yes.
Like any costs, basically, they take care of.
Yes.
And that is where it really comes in handy because that is not cheap. And especially when you're an independent artist. I mean, you are breaking your back to break even. Yeah. And even if you do break even, you're not making money.
No. No. But also you have to remember that all of that is still going towards that recoupable balance. So like all of the hotels, all the stylists, all the publicists, all the whatever, that's being spent by the label. The label is taking the receipts. They are keeping those receipts and they're saying, oh, you're starting to make money now. Like say your song is doing really well, or you got it synced into commercial and you got paid like 80 grand.
Yeah.
Is that 80 grand going to cover all of the work and all of the money it took to record it and produce it and tour it and all of that? And if it does cover it, then you'll start making money after that.
Which is so crazy, especially in this specific time in the music industry, because as we all know, music is not making money like it used to. You make 0.001 cents per stream. So like it takes 1 million streams to see any sort of real money.
Which then is being taken by the label.
Yes.
So then the actual artist is like making kind of nothing.
It's wild.
You honestly have to be a Beyonce, a Taylor Swift, a Rihanna to be making that lavish music money.
Yes.
Which is insane.
That dream of why people go into the music industry and like want to be an artist of, oh my gosh, when you're rich and famous one day, that percentage of now artists that are actually rich from the music industry is so small. So not only is the percentage of getting signed small, but now the actual percentage of making a solid living off of music, that's even smaller. Yeah,
like picture you are an artist and you had a mid hit, like a decent hit, and you did all these things and all of this. At the end of the day, if all of that work and all of that money that you made off that song did not repay the label, that label can drop you, and then you can literally be back to square one because you don't have any money. Even if you've had this decent hit and you're decently famous and the song is known and it charted and all that, the label can drop you at any second and you can just be sitting there with absolutely no money.
And that's a phrase that I feel like I see a lot. It's like, what happened to insert artist?
I hate
here
that term. And people said that about us all the time.
Yes, and it's 99.9% of the time it has absolutely nothing to do with the artist and everything to do with what happened with their label.
Yes, and how much money that label spent.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it's so annoying. It is so annoying and it's so frustrating. Because then you try to be an independent artist and let's actually break down the cost.
I would love to break down the cost
of what it actually takes to make a song.
Yes. So keep in mind, all of our music that we have put out independently was a lot of friends, a lot of favors, a lot of
up and coming producers,
splitting the masters 50-50. So what that means is basically on the back end, we make half and the producer would make half because we would pay a smaller upfront cost to produce a song. So should we talk about do or muses?
Let's do.
Okay. So
actually, let's do muses.
Muses?
Yeah.
Okay. So muses, if you're not familiar, that was released in 2019. And we had, it was 5 songs. 5 songs and 2 music videos.
Yes.
So the total cost of that EP, I believe it was $2,000 a song.
For the production.
Yes.
Yes.
So right there, cha-ching, you're already at $10,000.
$10,000 right off the top, like out of your bank account.
Yes.
$10,000 for a 5-song EP.
And that was just production. I think the mastering was a couple $100 more each a song. So
the team that we worked with, they were the ones doing the guitars. They were the ones, with the drums, and they were doing all of the instruments themselves. And it was at their home studio.
Yes.
Whereas if you were to do it the quote unquote traditional way, which is how most labels will have you do it, you are paying a guitar player, what?
X amount an hour.
You are paying a drummer X amount an hour. You're paying a bassist. You're paying an engineer. You're paying the producer still. And you're also paying for the actual studio time. So, I mean, geez, like.
That adds up quick.
That's
got to be, anywhere from like $10,000 to $25,000 a song if you're on like a major.
Yeah, easily that. Because then you can even get even more crazy. It's like, do you have a runner? Which if you don't know what a runner is, that's somebody who's literally hired for the day to just go get snacks, food, whatever. They're hired for the day to do that at the studio. And then you've got the food for the studio, which again, like all of this sounds like, oh, you would just not even really think of it. But if your whole band that you've hired, an engineer, is hungry, that's 10 people who you're buying lunch for, which is another like $300.
And sometimes if the session runs long, you're buying them dinner too.
Yes. Like, and all of that stuff adds up so much and it's so expensive.
So Muses was 5 songs, $2,000 a song, plus I really can't remember the mastering. I want to say it was like $800 for the mastering.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So that was we're at $10,800 right there.
Okay.
And the Take Me music video, again, a lot of favors.
Yes.
A lot of favors. I think that one was 7,000.
I think that was 7,000.
Yeah, and I want to say
that was just the video production too.
Really? I thought that was including like our stylist and hair and makeup.
I don't think so. I think that was just video.
Okay.
Yeah. That was
I guess that makes sense. Now that I'm thinking.
Which is so incredibly low for a music video.
And for how like amazing that video turned out.
Yeah. They did a great job.
And I want to say that Who Are You was around the same. I think they were both in the same ballpark.
But then we paid our stylist not that much.
No,
she's amazing.
She was a friend.
And we paid her like maybe $150, something. Like, we gave her a budget for the clothes that she could buy and what we were actually going to wear, and that was, I think, $500.
Yeah,
for the combo. And then we said I think she got it under, and then we said you can keep the rest of the money. There was no set upon fee.
And our hair and makeup person was also the same. It was a friend who like gave us a really good deal. So that's, let's see. So now we're at total around $30,000 for muses. And then we did tour with that EP.
Yeah.
And we did have a sponsor for the music video and the tour. So the sponsor definitely helped. I would say they probably paid for about 40%.
Yeah.
Of it.
But then also for the tour, we did brand deals with hotels.
Yes.
So that we were able to get free hotel rooms in exchange for posting.
Yeah.
At, I think
I think it was like all but maybe one or two.
Yeah.
So that really helped cut our costs.
But we also had to pay for our band. So we had to pay our band's travel.
Yes.
So airfare, per diem, which if you don't know what per diem is, that's basically just like money to eat in the day.
And like live.
And how much was their per diem?
It wasn't much.
It wasn't much.
It was like $35 a day or something.
Yeah. But we had 5 band members? No. 4 band members.
2.
We did not only have 2 band members.
Who am I forgetting? We had Josh and Josh.
Was it really only 2?
We didn't have a bass player.
Weird. We had Keith. Did we have Keith's player?
I don't think so. I really think it was just Josh and Josh.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, whatever. Okay. So you have to pay a per diem to your band members, and then
also our manager too.
Yeah, and our manager, who was traveling along with on these dates. So we had to pay for all of their hotels. I think one of the stops we got a free hotel for them, but most of the time it was just covering ours.
Yeah, or they would give us like a media rate for the other rooms.
Yes.
Yeah.
So okay. So say, how much was tour then?
Oh gosh. I'm like, I can go into this now. I was talking about this money story on my Instagram the other day. I still don't know how much everything cost because we really got screwed over, for lack of a better term, on this tour because someone who we thought we trusted to handle all the finances never provided receipts or documentation for where this money was going and what it was being spent on. Not only do we need that for like tax purposes, but also just to make sure that the money was being spent correctly. And also we were still spending money on our end.
Yes.
So to this day, I still do not know how much that tour cost. I don't know if we made money. I don't know if we lost money. I don't think we lost money.
I think we broke even. I think because we busted our butts to get so much free stuff. We had the sponsor, and the ticket sales were good.
I do know for a fact that show total, when I went back and looked, because this is how we like connected the dots with where is this money. The tickets themselves made us $10,000, but I mean, I think you're right. It probably did end up breaking even. But yeah, who knows? I guess I'll never know.
Guess we'll never know. It's another lesson in money, really.
Oh, yes. Can we dive into now the mismanaging of money and
how easy it is in the industry to have your money just completely mismanaged,
especially as a young female? This is my advice to all young females, and that is to have your full head in your finances because it is so important. We have been taken advantage of not once but twice now in our careers. And the second time I was like, okay, this is enough. Like, I need to get a better handle on this.
And it's been great ever since.
It really has. We have like the world's best accountant now. He is such a gem. I love him.
But like, and yes, he's our accountant, but like we handle all of our own money now. Like, yes, he like can see it and handle it.
And he does like our taxes and advises us. Yeah.
But we actually see what's being spent. And before we weren't doing that. And in the music industry, you get something that's called a business manager. And we just thought that was industry standard.
Like, have you heard the song Bitch Better Have My Money
by
Rihanna?
I've heard it.
So that song, if you don't know, is about her business manager mismanaging her money.
And yeah, because it's really easy to do.
Yes.
Because when you think about when you're an artist, it is your job to be an artist. It's and creative people aren't always the best with money. I know that's a generalization, but I personally, especially both of us at the very beginning when we were 18.
Yeah, we didn't know anything about money.
We didn't know anything. And so we hired a business manager, and long story short, we were left completely blindsided by the end of it because we were not paying enough attention.
Yes. And to be fair, we did start out with one business manager and one company, and that company ended up being sold to a different company, and then our business manager left at that point.
We were just
kind of tossed around, and we were not prioritized. So that I think that had a lot to do with it. We were just, somebody wasn't looking at our finances every single day or even week, I don't think. But basically, yeah, so it's really important to keep an eye on your money because in this instance, we unknowingly were spending more than we were making and nobody told us. We just assumed everything was fine, which, you know what they say about assuming. But just it's really important to pay attention to that, and we are out of that bubble now.
Yeah. I mean, to put it in perspective, when all of this was happening, this is how crazy the industry is and how you can really you have no idea what's going on in someone's life.
Oh, are we spilling this tea?
We're spilling this tea.
Okay, let's spill it.
This was a secret that we thought that we were going to take to our grave, but I think it's important to any aspiring influencer or musician to know.
Yes.
And just for people in general, like you never know what's going on with people.
Yeah.
This is a prime example of that.
Yes.
So the same week that we had our faces in a national department store with our own clothing line across the country was the same week that we had to get a serving job to pay our rent.
Because
our money was so mismanaged.
And we got a call one day that was like, you don't have money for rent. And we were like, what do you mean?
What do you mean? It's your job to make sure we have money for rent.
Yes.
And they had just neglected the account and had made moves that left us basically cash poor.
Yes.
And
also at this point, I just want to say, I want to make you guys aware that we did not have the login to our bank account at this point.
Yeah. Was that our fault? Like, should we have been smarter?
Exactly. But
yeah.
But that's the point I'm trying to make, is that you really can't trust anybody with your money other than yourself. And if you don't, then again, you're going to have to start a serving job to pay your rent the same week that your face is in a national department store. And that time was so crazy. I was like so down on.
We both were.
I was just like, how did we end up in this situation? It was not fair to me.
And that's the lesson of, like, you see these influencers, you see these musicians, and you think that their life is all together and that they're making all of this money, but the industry itself can put you in a position that is so vulnerable, and you can literally have your face in stores across America and not be able to pay your rent.
Yeah.
That's how inconsistent this business is and how scary it is.
Yeah. However, I do feel like that time in our lives, I look back on it pretty fondly because we did learn a really, really big life lesson. And I feel like we got a lot of life experience with that serving job. Like, I have so much respect for people in the food industry. I can't even begin. Like,
and we had fun. I mean, I mean, this is another thing to keep in mind. Like, we are still pretty young. Like, we're 31, which, like, yeah, that's we're in our 30s, but at this point we were 24.
Yes.
Like our career has just been so crazy
and long, which I'm very thankful for.
Yeah. That we've had these crazy highs and lows, and instability and stability.
Yes.
And honestly, it's brought us to where we are.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're lucky now, and we've worked hard now to a point where we are very stable.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just crazy because I think a lot of people would have looked at that time in our lives and been like, wow, they're doing so well.
Yeah, but it wasn't, because our money was literally so mismanaged that we couldn't pay our rent.
Yeah.
Which is so dark now.
It's so dark.
But it's fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
So I guess now we should kind of go into the influencing side of money.
I think that's good.
Okay. Actually, there is one more thing I want to touch on in the music industry that I think a lot of people don't know. And that is that the majority of money is made in getting your song synced in commercials and TV shows. Like, it is not from streams or purchasing anymore, because nobody buys music anymore. Mm-hmm. It is majority from getting your song synced. So we had our song synced in a very, very large name brand car commercial. Mm-hmm. And that was one of our biggest paychecks to date. Mm-hmm. And should we let's tell them, because I feel like it's very important to know that the difference. So say you get a check for your royalties that month. Mm-hmm. It was probably anywhere from like $5,000 to $8,000 at that time. Mm-hmm. And then when we got this commercial, that one sync for that one song was an $80,000 payday.
Yeah, just right off the bat. Yeah. Like, here's 80 grand.
Yeah. And it got resynced and repicked up. So there was like another 40, I believe.
Yes.
And so that's where the majority of money is made. So if you see people getting their songs synced in commercials, you say, that's amazing. Good for you. Make that coin. And that's going to keep them afloat for a very long time.
Except we do have to talk about this. You think it's 80 grand, but it's not really 80 grand, is it?
Why? Because of taxes?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
That's another lesson we had to learn.
Oh my gosh. Did we learn that?
Yeah, this was a few years before the server incident.
Yeah, this was like 2 years before that.
Yeah. So we had gotten, I think we were still like riding high off of that 80 grand. And then we were riding high off like some other like really crazy brand deals that we had gotten. And we were like, we're rich. We were literally like, we're rich. Like, oh my gosh, this is the most money we've ever had in our account. And this was also when we we still had our business manager, and they were still like paying attention to us at this point.
Yes, they were still, paying attention.
But we had never at that point had that much cash all at one time. And what you don't realize is, in this industry, in influencing, in music, the money that you get paid is not pre-taxed. So
it's not like a job where they take out the taxes for you, or you have the option of them to take out the taxes. At the end of it all, you go and you shave off, depending on how much you made, like 20, 30%, 40%. Man, oh gosh, I still think about that call. We got a call. It was like a nice day. I remember.
No, and we were riding high. We were we were like, we're rich.
Yeah. And then they were like, surprise. Taxes, man, that's a hard adult life lesson that just, it stings every year,
especially in this industry.
Because you think you have one number in your head, and then you actually don't. You have to take off like a percentage right off the top,
and you've got to be prepared for that, or else you will be shocked, and you don't want to spend it all, because then you won't have money to pay the IRS.
So diving into the influencer side of money, that's a great jumping off point, because a lot of influencers, especially when they first get started, do not realize that.
Oh, and they think, I'm rich.
Yes, exactly. And they've spent it all, and then you owe the IRS like thousands and thousands of dollars.
So people always ask us, they're like, why don't you do music anymore? Why do you only do influencing? Why do you only post on Instagram or whatever? I mean, obviously what we just told you about making music, it is very, very expensive. And influencing is not expensive in that way. There's definitely investments that you have to make in order to like share content and be a content creator, but it's not $30,000 to make a month of content. Yeah. Whereas like that's what an album is. And it's so much easier, and we're in our family era right now, I would say, where we're not in the position to want to spend that kind of money because we have families.
And also we're just not in the position to go tour at the moment. No. I mean, I have so much respect for the artists that want to continue touring while they have a baby, but my main priority right now is being in Margot's life. Like, I do not want to miss a single second of her growing up because it's going by so fast.
Yeah. So, and influencing is a great way to make money. It is. We've been doing it. I mean, I remember the first check that we got when we were 16 or 17.
I think we were 16. We were juniors in high school. So yeah, we were 16 or 17.
Yeah. And it was with a company that paid us to do a YouTube video on our YouTube channel. And that was our job. Yeah. That was our job in high school. Like, most people worked at Dairy Queen or, you know, washed cars or whatever. But our job was being influencers in the year 2010.
And if you followed us from the beginning, I'm sure a lot of you know and understand that the influencing wasn't new for us. We've been doing brand deals basically since we started our YouTube channel. And the moving over into the influencer space side was for two reasons. Number one, it definitely became more popular as our careers went on. And number two, it was for the exact reason that you just said, which is we wanted to be present in our family life. And we knew that moving our focus over to that side of things was what we had to do in order to stay home with our families and still be able to make money.
Yeah. And some of our deals, circling back to the music industry and our specific record deal, in a way, we were self-funding our label, in a way. Yeah. Because every tour that we did, every song that we wrote, all of the videos that we did almost always had a brand component that was paying us. So, you know, for our tour, as y'all know, it was the American Rag Tour.
It was sponsored by Macy's.
And then like a good example is of another brand deal that we did was for Mortal Instruments.
No, but they don't know that.
Okay, that's actually so true. So I don't know if y'all remember the Mortal Instruments. That's right?
Mortal Instruments?
City of Bones.
City of Bones. So when that movie came out, so In the Shadows Tonight was originally supposed to be like the music video was supposed to be having cuts of the movie in the music video.
Like Sony paid us money to write this song. They paid for the production of the song.
And then like 2 weeks before the video was supposed to come out, they said, never mind. And
we had shot the video.
Yeah. The song was done. The song was produced. Like, we had paid everybody, like the music video, the producers and everything. And they were like, never mind. And our label was like, absolutely not, because we've paid for everything. So,
you're still paying these girls.
Yeah, so they just like ended up paying us, but then there were no shots of the movie in the music video. It was so weird.
So if you go back and like listen to the song and watch the video, you've got to think of City of Bones, the movie.
And we started getting comments, I remember, on that video that they were like, this would have been perfect for the soundtrack. Do you remember that?
I do.
And at that time we were like, it was like really hush hush, but this was, 10 years, 11 years ago. So there's some little tea on that song.
But then we did a video on our beauty channel.
Yes, it was with NYX.
Yeah, with NYX Cosmetics. That was the City of Bones collaboration. That video came out.
But I think that was more with NYX as opposed to Sony.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's so weird. But at that same time, that was simultaneously happening, and we were just like, okay.
Yeah.
So I think that we should break down. Let's start with like our highest paying brand deal.
Okay.
And then our like, I don't know.
The lowest we'd go.
The lowest we
and
would
like
go.
why we would, and like what that would look like.
Yes.
Okay. Well, okay. First of all, the highest paid brand deals are the ones that want to use your content for themselves. Right?
I don't even know if they used this content.
For this particular deal, no. But I'm talking in general in today's scape. Like, you want the brand to be like, I'll pay you to post this amount of content, but I also want to buy that content, and I want the rights to that content to use as an ad.
Yeah, to use it wherever I so choose. So that's what you want in a brand deal these days. That's why, like, when you see influencers with like ads coming up that are like by the brand, it's like, that's good. That means that brand paid extra money to use their content. So our highest paid brand deal, I can't say with who, but it was back in the day where Snapchat was relevant. So it was a Snapchat, Instagram. Was it Facebook too?
Which one are you thinking
Twitter.
of?
It was Twitter.
Are you thinking of the one?
It was $37,000.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah, we went to that set.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. To that set.
To that set. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm just making sure that we're thinking of the same one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
was Twitter. It was Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was a really fun one too.
Yeah.
Like, it was a really like just fun to do. And then also brands sometimes will do one where they send you to like an activation and pay you to post about that.
And pay for your travel and the hotels. That's the best kind.
Those are the most fun.
Yeah. Like, you'll do some that you won't get paid as much.
Yeah.
But if they're paying for the experience and they're paying for your travel and all that.
Yeah.
Like, we'll definitely do a little bit less money.
And especially like at the time, again, when our money was being mismanaged and we were like working as servers, I remember taking, because we didn't have management at this point, I remember taking some low ball offers.
Oh, there were some dark times.
Man, and like, and I apologize to my following because that was a dark time. It was like, it's really not, I was just trying to pay my rent at that point. Like,
yeah. And it's not like the products were bad. Like, I don't think that I can honestly say there's only one brand that I worked with that I deeply regretted. And it's because I'm like, oh, can I put them on blast? Can I?
No.
I wish I could. But yeah, I'm going to be professional. But long story short, they put a loophole in my contract that said if I don't sell X amount of the product, which that is very rare in the influencer space to have that be a thing.
Yeah, because it's not fair. Like, it's like you're doing your best as the influencer to sell a product, and like you can't help it if your audience doesn't care.
Or if the site is weird, or you know what I mean? Like, I heard somebody say that an influencer's job is to get you to the site.
Yeah.
And if the site isn't good and you can't close the sale, then that's on you.
Yeah.
Like, that's on the brand, which I agree with. I think it's got to be a whole package. And
for sure.
But anyway, so this brand hid this loophole in the contract. I mean, I read the contract. Our manager at the time read the contract, and it was just like in fine print, whatever. And so they ended up not paying me barely anything. And I was so mad after I worked really hard for this post.
Yeah, I remember that. That was dumb.
Yeah.
But yeah, influencers, I mean, the really, really big influencers are making really good money. And a lot of the blogger space is making a lot of money on this app called Like to Know It, which I love. Like to Know It, because it's basically just posting things that you already use and love and like are wearing, and it's just generating revenue from things that you're already loving. So it's really organic. And
it gets a lot of hate though, kind of.
It does get a lot of hate. And honestly, that really bums me out. Like, I sometimes do some deep dives on Reddit if I'm just like in a mood, you know. And I also like to just see what the people are thinking, because the influencer space is really interesting on Reddit, as far as it's actually helped me like turn down brand deals.
Yeah, what's being
overshared, what people aren't buying. Like, there's this whole Reddit thread that I'm on, and like I've gotten offers for the ones that people talk a lot of shit about, and I'm like, if I get that offer, I'm like, no. Like, I will say no. But the people on Reddit are saying things like, I purposely, even if I like something, I go out of my way to not use this person's link. I don't need to.
That's so rude.
I know. And they're like, I'm doing it like, because I don't need to like keep funding their luxurious lifestyle. And you guys, like, when I say, if you sell a dress, you make like $5.
And that's good.
And that's a good one.
$5 is a good commission.
On Target, commission on Like to Know It is awful. It's like you make like 10 cents a sale. Oh my gosh.
I remember I sold like 3 of these like bar carts.
Yeah.
And they were $300 each. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm about to make so much money. And it was on Target. And I swear my commission was 28 cents on the $300 bar carts. I was like, awesome, sweet.
So I do not support the going out of your way to not support an influencer, because I will always use somebody's link. If I'll like go out of my way to like go on their highlight, and I will go back and buy from their link, because it takes a lot of time, not only to like get ready and to show up online, which is really hard a lot of days. And these people are doing it. And the respect I have, especially for the ones that do it literally every single day, you guys, it is a full-time job.
And that's the thing about influencing in general.
Yeah.
Is it a hard job? No. It's not hard.
But it is.
But it's still a job. Like, you can't say it's not work. And I get annoyed when people are like, oh, like, you just like don't work, or like, you know, whatever. But it is still a job, and you still have to put effort into it. And there are tiers. You can see when somebody's killing it, and you can see when someone's not.
Yeah.
Like, and it's very much you get back how much energy you put in.
Honestly, though, I think influencing is kind of hard, because you do have to be on camera sometimes.
You've got to know what you're doing.
Yeah, you have to be on camera some days when you really don't want to be on camera. And also the consistent talking to the camera and being comfortable talking to the camera is like a lot harder than people realize. And going in public and doing it is absolutely mortifying.
Yeah, I hate
mortifying.
doing that.
I still hate doing that.
It's like any other job where it's hard to compare it, because, you know, in the same way that I'm not equipped or educated or have experience in accounting is the same way that someone in accounting doesn't have the experience or confidence or whatever to be an influencer. So it's kind of like, how can you say one is easier than the other if you're naturally inclined or have experience in one?
And there's also like a lot of parts, I think, in influencing that people don't realize goes into it. As far as, you know, like when you do a brand deal, you get a brief from the brand and you have to like hit certain points. And sometimes you have like, you'll submit your content and then you'll have to reshoot it if the brand didn't like something. And shooting content, all in all, depending, I mean, we just did a brand deal a couple weeks ago that took 3 full days to get all of the content done. So it is a lot of time. And honestly, I would say the hardest part for me personally, you can share your hardest part, is the being on camera still.
Well, there's
especially
definitely,
if you're feeling like, wow, I don't look good today, and then you have to be on camera and see your face, it really is hard on your self-esteem.
I definitely don't think that it's natural that the two of us have seen our faces through a camera and that has been our source of income.
Yeah.
Since 2009. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that is a normal way to live.
Yeah.
And it's taken a toll on, I mean, me personally, you know, I went through a lot of eating disorder stuff because I was just so dysmorphic about how I looked and seeing myself on camera and the comments from people. And like, I know that, and people are like, well, why don't you just quit? Or like, why don't you just like do something else? But it's not that easy to just completely change your career. Yeah. Especially when you're good at it. Like, not to be like we're good at it, but we've been able to make it our career for the past 15 years. And just like every job, you're going to have hard times and you're going to have whatever. But if you put this much work into it, I'm not just going to quit because it gets hard sometimes.
Exactly.
So that's why I hate when people are like, these influencers complain all the time. Then why don't they just quit? Because it's not that easy. And with every job, you kind of got to look yourself in the mirror and get over the hurdles. And that's something that I had to do. I mean, you can't say that your body image is like perfect or that the way that you look at your face is like fine. Absolutely. Because it is not. I know for a fact you and I, we got issues.
I mean, for sure. Especially when you do see your face in the camera all the time. It doesn't help because one day you'll be like, wow, I look so good today. And then the next day you're like,
I need plastic surgery.
Yeah, I need plastic surgery. Like, it's such a crazy, I need plastic surgery.
I need plastic surgery immediately.
And also just like all of the filters and edits that influencers are using now, like the beauty filter on TikTok. I refuse to use that one. Yeah. And just like the Instagram filters, I feel like people are over those, the ones that like changed your face.
Yeah, for sure.
That was a tough time though. When I had to like go back to not using filters, I was like, is this what I look like?
Yeah. No, and that's hard. I'm sorry, but it's hard. And I think that's probably one of the hardest parts about being an influencer because it's not like if you have a normal job where you're behind a desk all day. Yeah. You can't, if you have a bad day, body image day, whatever, you don't like the way your face looks at an office job, you're like, oh, I don't really feel good today, but you show up and you still do your work and whatever. But if your paycheck is depending on how beautiful you are and how thin you are and how these clothes look on your body and all of that, that's the hardest part.
It's for sure. But I think that also still says how long we have, or I think that says where we still need to go in our society as far as body image being so important. And I feel like you and I have always been really, really open and honest about, we get Botox. I mean, we haven't had filler in a while, but like we did back in the day, we would get filler, and we're always really honest on what we do. For that reason.
And oh my gosh, everybody is doing everything. Like that's the other thing that growing up in the industry, in the influencer industry, like these girls are getting everything done under the sun, and they do look a certain way because they're doing so much. And I don't know if that comes from, I'm sure it comes from the dysmorphia that comes of looking at your face all day, every day in a camera. I'm telling you, it's not normal.
And just comparing yourself to other women all day, and the internet comparing your face to other women all day. Like it's not healthy, and it's really hard. Yeah. But I think that goes for everybody, like who is even just watching, you know, it's like you have to look at these girls and know that they are getting a lot of work done. And not to compare yourself to them. And and again, that's why we talk about what we've had done, because I don't ever want somebody to look at me and be like, oh, well, why do they look like this? And I'll be like, I'll tell you why. It's because I have Botox. Like I used to get a lot of lip filler. Like I'll tell you, like I didn't just like wake up like this.
Yeah. It's a very interesting career. Yeah. I think that we should do like a Q&A episode or something.
We should.
Because I feel like there's a lot more to touch on as far as like influencing in general. But if we're circling back to just money, the money aspect.
Getting work done does cost money.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
But anyway.
If we're circling back to just money, I think we should end it on, if you want to be an influencer, you have to work really hard. It's not going to come if you don't put any work in. You can't just be a pretty face. You can't just like whatever. You're still building relationships with these brands. You have to have a good manager, a good management company, or not necessarily. Sometimes you can have a great management just by yourself, and those are the girls that I really respect, because so many girls are doing that, and they hustle, and they pitch all day every day. Luckily,
great example of somebody is April Lockhart. That girl,
well, I mean, she's with incredible management now,
but she hustled her way to get where she is. She worked so hard, and she still works so hard, and the respect I have for her is like to the ceiling.
Her growth is like one that we can really point to, of like, if you want a successful career in influencing, you've got to work for it.
Work hard.
She worked and continues to work really, really hard. And she's gotten herself into some amazing rooms, into this like incredible brand deals. And because she chose that, and she just, there's a handful of girls that I look at like her, that I look at and I respect so much, because it's like, geez, girls, like, you really said, I'm going to do this and I'm going to put so much work into it. Like I said, it's kind of a job where you get out what you put in.
That's so true.
And that's what you got to do to make money in it. You can't just be a hot girl on Instagram, because that does not fly these days.
It doesn't.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for money on influencers and money with the music industry. Do you have any closing thoughts?
I think really, I number one, I just want to say, if you're still following us, like, thank you so much for supporting us through all of these journeys, because there have been a lot of them.
It's been an evolution we have been through. We've had highs, we've had lows, we've been rich, we've been poor.
No, literally.
Yeah, thank you so much for still supporting us and following us. And I mean, that is the best part for sure.
Yeah. The relationship that we've built with you guys over the years is truly, truly remarkable. And I'm very thankful. So yeah, I think that's a wrap on this episode. And we'll see you guys next time.